All right, today we're going to go over some acronyms for CFIs. So if you are training to be a CFI or you already are a CFI, these are some acronyms that are good to know and just kind of keep in the back of your brain. This is more so like FOI material and helping you with like how to teach and how to know what your students are like and things you should know about, I guess, just humans in general when it comes to learning. So this is more so FOI stuff versus FIA. But let's get into it. So our first one is PIMA, and these are our characteristics of learning. So the P is purposeful, experience, multifaceted, I don't know how to say that word, and A is active process. So the characteristics of learning are purposeful, experience, multifaceted, and active process. All right, now our next one is Reaper. So it is REEPIR. And this is our laws and principles of learning. R is readiness. This other R is recency. P is primacy. I is intensity. This E is effect. This other E is exercise. So our laws, principles of learning is readiness, effect, exercise, primacy, intensity, and recency. All right, the next one is RUAC. So RUAC. And this is our 4 levels of learning. So this is like what you learn from the beginning, and this is what you build up to. So the R is rote memorization. The U is understanding. A is application. And C, our final step, would be correlation. So rote memorization, understanding, application, and correlation. All right, the next acronym is PIM. So PIM. And this is for how people learn. So perceptions, insights, and motivation. SRSL. So the way that they write it as the acronym is like this, SRSL. Some of these you really have to connect the acronym to the learning and try really hard to make it stick in your brain because they're not the best acronyms. Like Private Pilot, like 8 Tomato Flames, like that is an easy acronym to remember. But like SRSL, like how helpful is it really? But it's better to try to make acronyms out of everything than just try to memorize it, I promise. So this is the acronym for our memorization. So we have sensory register. This is just like your initial stimuli. And then we have short term and long term. Next one is PSSES. This one's going to be really important. This is the hierarchy of human needs. And this is what you need to think about when you're teaching students and their needs that they have to be able to effectively learn. I was definitely asked about this on my truck ride, and he asked me which one that I think is the most important. And then also from this one over here, he asked me which laws and principles of learning I think is the most important. So the P is physical. S is safety. The other S is social. E is egoistic. And self-fulfillment. All right, the next acronym is FAR with 2 R's. So FARR. So these are our defense mechanisms. So we have flight, aggression, resignation, rationalization. So our defense mechanisms are flight, aggression, resignation, rationalization. Next is an acronym that I kind of created on my own. So it was a list of things that you had to remember and I just could not. So I took all the first letters of the words and I created my own acronym. So it's going to be STEP BG. And honestly, when you create your own acronyms, you're going to remember them more because there's a reason why your brain moved the letters in that way. So it makes sense for your brain. And this is things that affect our perception of things. And the way that I remember this is STEP. I mean, that's an easy word. And then the BG, I remember because like boyfriend, girlfriend, and your boyfriend and girlfriend, if you're in a bad relationship, can affect your perception of things a lot. S is self-concept. T is time and opportunity. Element of threat. Physical organism. Basic need. And goals and values. All right, the next one is PAR. So with two P's. PPAR. And this is the teaching process. So first step is preparation. Next P is presentation. A is application. And the R is review. The next one is another one I made up. So it's going to be CDLGC, and this is the ways to learn. So, all right, C is computer. D is demo/performance. L is lecture. G is guided discussion, and C is cooperative or like group learning style. Next, we have IDC. So I don't care. This one's pretty straightforward. It's just how we organize our material for our lessons. So we're going to have an introduction. So what are we teaching them? What are we introducing? Then we're going to have the development, which is building up to the main point of teaching it through explaining and demonstration, stuff like that. And then our conclusion. What was the point of the lesson? What did we teach? What did you learn? Then our next acronym is AMI. I remember this because I used to live in Florida and we used to go to Anna Maria Island Beach. So AMI. This is what our introduction should contain. So attention. So we should gather their attention with our whatever we're saying in our introduction. Give them something that motivates them. So say like, well, once you learn this, it's going to help your steep turns a lot more. Or once you learn this, it's going to make a lot of your landings start to click. And then insights. Next is LGD, which is just these. So LGD is just out of these learning styles, which ones are the most effective and which ones are the most popular. So lecture is a popular one, guided discussion, and then demo performance. So typically you're going to get some sort of lecture of lessons, whether that's you watching ground school and you're just watching a video of them teaching you a topic, or your instructor is just like giving you a lecture style lesson. And then most of the time you're going to do like a guided discussion where you're going to either talk through it with your instructor, you guys are having a conversation about it, or you're going to their student and you're talking through it. And then you're going to do demo performance. So then you're going to like apply that to your flying. The next is order. ORDRR. This stands for our guided discussion questions. So this isn't like super important. Some of these like aren't very important, but if you are training for your CFI, you're probably going to be quizzed on this stuff at some point, so it's good to know. But these are types of questions. So overhead question, rhetorical question, direct question, reverse question, and a relay question. Next is EDSI. So EDSIE. So when we are using the demonstration performance method, these are the 5 steps that we use to make sure that we're doing the demonstration performance method effectively. So E is explanation. So you're going to explain what you're doing. Then the D is the actual demonstration. So the instructor is going to demonstrate a maneuver or something. Then the student is going to then try it themselves. So that's going to be student actions. The I is instructor supervision. So you just demonstrated it. Although you've explained it, you demonstrated it, they still aren't probably going to grasp it at first. So they're going to do it. You should always be watching them, overseeing what they're doing, correcting them if they need corrections, or taking the controls if that's needed. And then going to evaluate and give them feedback on what they did right, what they did wrong, what they need to work on. And our last acronym is CAP. CAP. This is for our domains of learning. So we have cognitive, associative, and psychomotor. All right, so those are all the acronyms for CFI. Really just work on connecting those acronyms to whatever it is that it's explaining, because it's also one thing to know, okay, CAP stands for cognitive, associative, psychomotor, but what does that actually, what are those for? What is that teaching me? And it's the domains of learning. So knowing what the acronym is teaching us, and then knowing what the acronym stands for, and then just really applying the acronym like to what it's standing for in your brain so you can remember it, like CDLGC. CDL, even if it's just you telling yourself CDL is that license you need to drive larger vehicles, and GC's group chat. And then when you hear, okay, what are the styles of learning? You'll be like, oh yeah, CDL and group chat. So CDL, GC, and that stands for computer demo performance lecture, guided discussion, and cooperative. So yeah, it's got to connect in your brain the way your brain works. Also, if you need to, like, take EDSIE, put it out on a piece of paper and say, okay, what way do these letters, what order can these letters go in that works with my brain, or that clicks and correlates to something in my life, and that's easier for me to understand. But yeah, definitely put these in a Quizlet, learn them, or just like I did, this is how I learned them. I wrote a whole list of like all the topics that I need to know. So like styles of learning, domains of learning, hierarchy of human needs. And then I would go through that list and just sit with my whiteboard in front of me, and I would say, okay, the domains of learning, that acronym is CAP, and that stands for cognitive, associative, psychomotor. And I would even go into detail being like, okay, cognitive domain of learning is this, associative is this. And just doing that over and over again really helps it stick in your brain and helps you memorize it. So definitely recommend doing that. Again, as always, make sure you like this video, comment, and if you guys could comment any acronyms that you use for CFI, instrument, commercial, that I didn't state for CFI, and then because I'm going to be doing commercial next, and then instrument. So that would be helpful. Comment any other videos you want to see, and then make sure you subscribe to my channel. And then also just a reminder that I do online ground lessons. So if you go to my Instagram, which is flyaddison with 2 N's, or my TikTok, which is addison.pilot, you can fill out the Google form in my bio, or you can just DM me. Ground lessons are $50 an hour, and we can get you set up for a ground lesson, get it scheduled, and we can go over whatever you want to go over. So definitely fill that out if you're interested in it. But yeah, that's it for today, and those are the CFI acronyms.